Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Aeon's Trespass Odyssey. Now, this is a very, very preliminary discussion for a game like this, because theoretically there's actually only 2 videos out prior to this discussion, but we did the full tutorial off-screen and did a few episodes.
So we know everything.
We've pretty much we know everything that the game's gonna have and offer. But clearly, for long-term series like this, there's always a preliminary discussion anyway. Until later on, if we decide
our honeymoon phase.
Yeah, after that's all gone, and then if we do we're done playing discussion, or we finish the campaign and then we talk about overall thoughts. So, with that being said, Devin, what do you think of Aeon's Trespass Odyssey?
I fucking hate it. This is not my type of game, dude.
Not even a little.
Hate this shit. No.
Yeah?
No, I'd say I like it so far.
Yeah.
Of course, let me just get it out of the way. We're going to be comparing this to KDM quite a bit.
100%.
Yeah, big time, big deal, because it's pretty heavily influenced. And so you can't, deny any comparisons there.
Yeah.
So first off,
even the board layout and everything, and the opening tutorial setup looked almost identical to White Lion.
Right. And the box art, come on, they just turn it white. There's
exactly.
Sheer black, and it's almost the same size.
Even the name, Kingdom Death : Monster, Aeon's Trespass : Odyssey.
Oh god.
Yeah, if it's tell me you like KDM without telling me you like KDM. But to reiterate that same statement is that I think that they took a lot of heavy inspiration from that, but they put on so much twists on that it doesn't feel like KDM but Greek themed.
Right. No, it is. They have done quite a bit to differentiate it. Well, the broad strokes are there. You can see the bones of KDM.
Yeah.
But they've definitely built something different around that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good time, I have to say. I am enjoying it. I'm loving the reroll system. That's nice.
Yes.
I feel like the way they have structured combat is definitely an easier way to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing so far from we've only done 2 fights, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But we do have dice mitigation, and that's, if you want to have fun with a dice chucker, you're going to need some of that.
Yeah. Because KDM only gives you the once per lifetime reroll if you actually do your settlement a certain way.
And the balancing mechanic with our characters, such as our rage, fate, and danger. If any of these get too out of whack, you're in a bad way. Essentially, rage. You've attacked too many times and you still haven't killed this thing, or other outside factors have cranked up your rage. And now, essentially, what I like to envision it thematically is, since now we've learned that there's some kind of magic helmet involved.
Yeah.
That it shuts down the Titan. And it kills them to keep them from going berserk.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Because in my head, when I was first reading the rules and stuff, I was thinking thematically we actually got in them. They were kind of mechanized in a way. Because they kind of have these orbs or these holes in their body. So I thought they were kind of robotic. Or we turned them robotic.
Yeah.
And so I thought we actually piloted them. But no, we sink into alignment. And it's almost like... Yeah, we're a video game almost.
Well, I like to envision Attack on Titan style. Just you just grow huge all of a sudden. But I know in the universe, and if we're walking around town, you can't just fucking pull one out.
Right. So yeah, they're almost okay. It's we put on this helmet to tame them down, so we can then use them to fight these things. And then if you the rage, it kind of that's a good way of putting it. It breaks through, and then it's just oh nope, kill switch. All right, nope, that one went out of whack.
Right. That. I'm seeing the mechanics to try to keep the combat balanced, where I can definitely see KDM is more of a you can kind of write your own destiny there. Sometimes you end up with you're just fucked. You have nothing and you're just having a bad time, or you have the most broken ass character
Right.
build, something just lined up, and you're just crushing the game.
Yeah, the game is like almost
Yeah.
like, you're like, what's even the point?
Yeah, there's definitely some a lot more control here.
I feel like our overall campaign, and so for the record, with KDM, we've done 3 discussions on that. I've done a complete series on it. Go check that out if you want to hear our overall thoughts. Watch the first discussion, then second and third to see my nosedive of enjoyment.
It's a 10. It's a 3.
Yeah. Yeah, after 30 games. But I will say our 4 characters in that were, they felt really balanced. Like, no one was, like, super OP, but no one was super weak either. Because, like, Cat's character couldn't die. Basically was unkillable. Josh had the luck build. I think you and I were you were more tanky. I was more hard-hitting. But in this game... Yeah, the 2 systems that I think differentiate this, that if someone's going to be like, which one would I like more, you can bring in the 2 systems that this game has prioritized. And it's their escalation system, which in KDM, when you're fighting monsters, you break them down. They start stronger, you weaken them, that's like, oh, well, you cut off its legs, so now it can't run as far. And so you eventually whittle it down, because they're animals. And eventually, okay, now we just killed it like an animal.
But somewhat in its defense, you are reducing its deck number to where it's going to be using certain cards more frequently.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's a bad thing with KDM. I'm just saying that that's kind of the overall, most things whenever you're doing boss fights, that the boss almost shouldn't get stronger. But yes, you're right. Once you're removing certain cards, then it's like, oh, it's going to be kicking a lot. If it's the antelope, it's going to be doing its back hooves, and it becomes a lot more predictable because it's becoming more frantic, which is all thematic. Like I have no gripes with the system of the way KDM does it. The way this game does it is these are supposed to be they're primordials. They're primordial god beings. They showed up and wiped the Olympic gods out in no time at all, and now are doing the same thing for the rest of the planet. So whenever you wound them, and the only things that can wound them are titans, when you do find a way to wound it, they get stronger. So it's like, oh, that level 1 body part, so now that one is wounded, but now you're adding a level 2. Makes it harder to hit. Okay, you wound a level 2, now level 3 is coming in.
Right.
And along with that, because it's opening up, like, or it's shielding itself more, or it's like protecting itself more. Therefore, it's like, oh shit, these things can kill me. Now their AI cards get tougher. So then it's like, well, I wounded it. Oh, now I'm drawing this level 3 AI card, and it's just whooping our ass. I think that's incredibly fascinating, especially for the fact that you, as Titans, also escalate. Like you said, the more you rage, the more powerful you become. So it's like, as the fight goes on longer, it's like, oh, now all of us are getting that much more tougher, which I think is a lot more fun for me. It's just way bigger, bombastic, 30-foot Titans fighting. Like, if this is supposed to represent 30 feet, this compared to that is 60 feet.
Right.
And this is one of the small ones. Like, this is a regular one you fight. I think that's just super cool.
Yeah, it's a neat theme.
And then their other thing that they have trademarked, actually, because it says TM next to it, is the Triskelion.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the way you're thematically tied into the Titans. I just think this is so fascinating. Like, it's so cool. Like, everything about this is a double-edged sword. Like, oh, if I keep attacking, that's great, but I'm getting real close to losing control over this Titan.
Right.
I can keep mitigating my dice, but that's me tempting fate, and I'm at 6 fate, and if I have 6 or more fate, I roll double dice. I failed on every single one, and I'm dead. And danger is just danger. Like, that doesn't have a double-edged sword. That's just your wounds.
Well, and then the trauma deck, I think, in that way. I mean, I have seen that 90% of them have been beneficial.
Yeah.
Like, we found one, I think, that was kind of a debuff for me, and that was the gash.
Oh, yeah.
The one negative I found so far. And it could have just been luck. But
yeah, because there's a lot of trauma cards in there. I think that's also fascinating.
And then even, like, getting above 9, 10-plus wounds, it's not even guaranteed death.
It is not.
It's 50% chance of death.
Yeah.
Possibly more, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. It's nice to have a fluid system versus, like, Yeah, 10. Done. You're over.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice having that little thread of hope.
Yeah, or like, oh, okay, this enemy, hit me. It happens to be a head wound. I rolled a 2. I guess I'm dead. It's like, cool. I've spent 18 lantern years building this guy, and he's gone. And it's like, obviously for me, I'm just like, why did I just waste all this time? Like, why? And I get it. You have to wrap your head around that people they're expendable. But it's like, well, why are we building all these characters up? Like, they have all these stats and they can just die. And your characters can just die in this, too. It's not just the Obel deck. If you have to draw 2 Boreos cards, dead. If you have to draw 2 Kratos cards, dead.
How do I draw those?
I don't remember.
Yeah, look at one.
Huh?
Yeah, look at one.
The Kratos cards you draw whenever your rage goes over 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Moros cards, I'd have to look it up.
Is that like Max Fate?
No, I'll just tell you, Daddy-O.
Okay.
57. Moros cards, yes, it is Fate. Yep, you draw a random Moros card and you keep it till the end of the battle. If you ever have to do it again, you die.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing, is because you are piloting your Argonauts, it's your Titans that die. And so you're given a decent amount of Titans, but as they dwindle down, like, if you only have 3 Titans to start a battle, you're going into that battle with 3 Titans. And then if you have multiple ways you can lose the campaign, and so the Titans are kind of the expendable ones. And there are things that directly attach to them. So then it's like, it's a bigger deal if they do die, because then that, what was attached to them, goes away. But like, things that are attached to your Argonauts, your actual Argonaut characters can leave the ship or die, and that's a way bigger deal. But yeah, it's just, if you're comparing both of them, which everyone's going to, KDM is your definite more... It's kind of like what I imagine 7th Continent and 7th Citadel are going to be compared to, because it's like, KDM is your survival horror, like, drudging, just, you're going to be fucked up for a while.
Monster Hunter style, individual body parts.
Yes.
Grindathon.
So that is your survival game, and Aeon's Trespass Odyssey is going to be your more adventure game. Just because we haven't even talked about the cycles or anything like that. We've just really focused on the boss battles. And I think they're exhilarating. I think again, take this with a grain of salt, we've only fought the Hecaton. But at level 0 was the tutorial. It was basically like, you lost? Like, if you lose, it's like, damn. But even at level 1, like, even though, he almost died, and no one was really at high danger. Actually, I think she had mid danger. At level 1, like, it's like, it's a level 1. Like, at level 2, it already ramps up in terms of the fact that the edges are cliffs, and since it knocks back if you fall off, Titan's dead.
Yeah.
So it just ramps up so much. I don't want my boss battles to be frustrating every die roll, where it's like, I guess I'll use Fate again!
Yeah.
It's like, I still want it to be engaging and have some edge. I don't want the boss fight to be too easy. But I don't want it to be overbearingly hard until you get to that point where it's like, okay, we're fighting a level 4. It should be really hard. If you're wiping the floor with level 4 bosses, then it's like, well, that's not as exciting. Real quick, so do you have any negatives on the game?
Let's see. Well, I mean, they keep the body part in the AI decks pretty small, it seems.
There's
the constant reshuffling between wounds.
Yeah, that's not...
I could see that being a little frustrating.
That's not super fun. They made it easier, because I was thinking the exact same thing whenever I kept having to... I wounded again. Granted, you're really only going to wound, like, once or twice. Yeah. There's 6 cards in each level. But they made it easier a little bit with the fact of, like, like a body part, for example. I wounded level 1, I just quickly grab a level 2 and just shuffle it in. And since I'm not, like, bridging cards. So far, it's not, like, annoying. But, yeah, you are kind of always reshuffling. And referencing the rule book to be like, am I escalating correctly? But it's not overly difficult. What makes it weird is whenever you have to be like, okay, I went to level 3. What do I do if there's nothing lower? Like, what if they're all level 3s in the deck? What do I do? And in that case, I think you debuff the Hecaton in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, let's see here. Other negatives. Let's see.
So far, I think the writing is really good.
Yeah, no,
it's
it
not
is.
like
I'm so far I'm liking the decisions.
It's not fix it.
Yeah, fix it. Interested to see how stories shape up. I like some splintering paths.
Yeah.
A little bit of Seven Continent wander around the squares there.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the story decisions, like, you already, like, from the get-go, see your decisions, which is very nice. But then there's other stuff where it's like, yeah, take that old lady. It's like, wait, I got the death follows Nemos.
Why?
Is she death? Wait,
I'm keeping her because she's my best friend.
She's the sexiest person ever. And the writing, I think, is really well done. I know they're making an app.
Yeah, it needs a narrative app.
It's a companion app. I don't know if that includes narration. I really hope it is. Like, that's a lot of reading. And it's like, I would just love to be able to just go on their app, type in, 0001, and then hit play. Just be like, boom, done. Voice acting, done.
That'd be nice. Let's see here. Yeah, I like the story events. I like the kind of your custom character backstory in the form of Nemo's cards. Kind of lets you flavor them a little bit. Let's see here. They also have blank-faced character cards if you wanted to go complete clean slate.
Yeah, they give you quite a bit to just actually pick from with their own backstories and their skills. But
see here, I look forward to I guess you can build custom Titans, which is an interesting aspect.
Yep, they're called Argo bred. You eventually acquire Argo technologies to be able to build certain, but you can only ever have one of a certain breed.
Right.
And you can only ever bring one of a certain breed into the battle. But apparently, it even says in the rule book, like, they take a lot to build, but they die just as easy. So it's like, you're like, fuck, if it dies, then it's like, we just spent so many resources doing that. I love the technologies. Like, it's reminiscent of, the settlement build-up stuff, the innovation deck. And so, but it's like, it's similar to the fact of, like, KDM, where it's like, hey, here's what we got, here's what we can get. Just from the quick requirements and leads to on the back. It's just like, requirements to get Titan hunting, we need Titanogenesis and rhetoric, and that leads to Titan rearing. Cool. It's just it's very simplistic and cut down, but they do a little bit of flavor text to kind of give you some story within the technologies.
Yeah. Let's see here. I feel like they've definitely taken the bones, and they've certainly cleaned off a lot of the hard edges. Definitely a fun game.
Yeah. It's cheap. It is very much cheap. Yeah.
I mean, it's still 500. What for this?
It's 500 for 5 cycles.
5 cycles.
Yep. And and the cycles are like the cycle book, and just page number is 123. And this includes your main story. This includes adventures. This includes Nemos. This includes and what's really cool is that this is, like I said, in this box, there's 3 cycles, and they've condensed it all into your story cards are that's cycle 1. Your texts are cycle 1. Your cards are cycle 1. So once you're done with the story of cycle 1, you never see that stuff again, and you just bring out cycle 2. But it does connect. It's not like they're different, campaigns. The tiles are cycle 1.
All those are cycle 1?
These are all just cycle 1.
Damn.
Yeah, and then cycle 2 is red, and it's just very quick to be like, okay, boom, 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 boom. All the trauma cards, well, not all of them, but some of those in those decks, cycle 1.
Really?
Yeah, so they've done a really good job of like including so much story and world without it feeling like generic or just kind of like, this is piss poor writing. You have 5,000 words in there, or 50,000 words, and they're all kind of nothing. It's just it's really well done, and I came into this kind of trepidatious because I watched videos and stuff, and I'm like, really, it's so much like KDM, but it doesn't feel like it. Now, to be fair, I loved KDM when we were at this point, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a 10 out of 10.
Right.
So after 80 days, which is just, you only have very sporadic battles in it. It's not like battle all 80 days. So a lot of these days will go by quicker, where it's just, oh, okay.
I remove on the boards a day.
Yeah. And then you just kind of go and you're like, okay, well, there's no icons there, so we're not doing an adventure. Okay, there's nothing there, so boom, we're just getting resources. All right, that's day one. Okay, and then we just kind of move around. So yeah, it'll go a lot quicker. 80 is not like, it's not the equivalent of a lantern year. But yeah, I'm incredibly engrossed in the way that this plays. It keeps what I liked about KDM and removed the things that frustrated me so far.
Like the fate mechanic's pretty great.
It's so nice.
Well, combined with the rage mechanic of, okay, you've warmed up and now you've left openings for follow-up attacks.
That's such a cool idea. I've never seen that in a game like this. Like, obviously there's things where it's like, ooh, if I played like in Gloomhaven, okay, if I do this, then that could, push him into you, and then that could, so now he's in your range. Stuff like that. But it's such a cool system of you being like, yeah, like, okay, well, I'm just gonna, okay, if we do this, like what we did earlier to even get the wounding blow, he's the heaviest hitter with that crit shield that you got, and to do your rush special ability, you had her go in and attack. Boom, pushed him forward to get your 3 movement, to then be like, oh, by the way, here's some break tokens, and then with the break tokens added, gave you just enough to crit him, or not to crit him, to wound him. It's brilliant. It's so cool. Like, yeah, and your turns realistically are so simple. Eventually, yes, you'll get items and abilities that give you reactions. So, like, whenever he goes to punch you and it's, a follow-up with a swat or something, you can be like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run out of his way so he doesn't get the backhand. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I also think it's just so much better than the survival mechanism, where you had to get certain things to be like, okay, now you can dash. Now, it would be nice to dash.
Right.
But obviously, because we're so early, we don't have extra things where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this to double my movement.
Yeah, Dark Ride unlocks.
Exactly. So I think all that stuff will be coming without a doubt. I think with the support cards and the attachments to the weapons, that's going to open up a lot more. The only negative I have, and it's not even really that big of a negative, but this game has a lot to it.
Yeah, look at that rule book. Like, oh god.
This rule book is 80 pages. I have read this 3 times. And I've retained most of it, I feel like. Like, whenever it's like, oh, what's this icon? Oh, that lets you do this. Or, oh, they mentioned Faded Nemos. Okay. But the way that it's almost structured and the overload of information, it almost makes it seem like, so what do I do? Like, what's a day? Oh, it's a voyage phase. And they basically say multiple times in the rulebook, the golden rule is if you're not fighting and you're not reading from the storybook, you're in the voyage phase. So the game is the voyage phase where it's like, okay, boom, move. And then just go down the list. And it's like, hey, you have any battles? Now you do a battle. So it does become clearer. And they did aid the rulebook quite a bit with a really well-done tutorial system. But you have to play the game to go through the tutorial system. So if you have to wait for people to do that, you have to. It's like, well, I guess I'll read the rule book.
It's like, okay, you guys can learn with me. Time for story time.
Exactly, and the tutorial is not necessarily short. It was about 3 hours.
Yeah, true.
Does a great job, like explaining the very basics of most of what you're going to see over time. But yeah, even then, whenever you're like, oh, what's a Moiros card? I'm like, I don't know. I do not remember. Oh, how do you get Faded Nemos?
You get such and you draw a Kratos card, and then when this happens, a Moiros card.
Yeah, or even just in combat, whenever it's like...
so many minor draw cards.
Yeah.
Don't forget to draw your double wound card. And anyway.
It
just makes me... That made me think about what was those guys that you showed me on YouTube? The wine guys, the books. Auntie Donna.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes,
Auntie
I think
Donna.
that. Yeah.
And then they did the board game one, and then you get so much wood, and then you get the.
There we go. Brett wins. Wait, why have I been collecting wood this whole time? Well, you need wood to win the game. He just plays one fucking card, and then he wins. Well, yeah, he played the Don Quixote card. Yeah, it is kind of like that. I mean, you've read the rules for KDM way more than I. Do you think this is more rules heavy?
It's a little more fluid, I guess, since because it's got the voyage and then it's got combat. But then there's several other elements in between. I'd have to play a little more, I guess. There's just a lot of other finicky elements within.
There are,
because now you just told me about depression fucking tokens.
Well, I didn't even know about those.
Yeah,
those came from specifically Cycle 1.
Yeah, exploration cards. I mean, with KDM, and it's you got your settlement phase, hunt phase, combat phase, and it's like, okay, you've lined out combat, which I mean is kind of a bear in of itself. I mean, I didn't know how knockback worked for the longest time. I was doing it wrong.
In KDM? Oh, okay. Well, it's even kind of like that here. It's like, how does knockback work? Okay, they have crash. Okay, crash gives me a danger. Okay, so knockback is just whenever I get not pushed back. No, wait, but there's pushback.
Yeah.
Which is whenever he's basically rushing with me. Yeah. Like he's pushing me back. And you just kind of have to do that. But to counteract my own negative, it is so easy to find what you're looking for in this rulebook, which is huge. If you want to have a lot of rules in your game, that's perfectly fine. Just don't make it a fucking chore to be like, I don't even know where this is at. Like, so many times whenever it's like, oh, like the Moros card, what's that? I just go to the master index. Oh, there we go, 57. Boom.
It's definitely similar to Madara. I'm going to say that, rules-wise.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, lots of keywords, lots of extra little steps whenever you're just doing like, oh, hey, you have a first window. What do I do with the first window? Well, there's some certain things that you can put into the first window, like, oh, like I can put in my own break token in the first window, so that means I can use it. But then, oh, nope, only this stuff, you can only do these keywords in the second window. It's like, and there's no player aid. That's actually a real, I think that's actually kind of a big problem. Like,
yeah, a player aid for the windows of a turn, and then one for the windows of exploration.
Yeah,
that
like
would be
literally what they have.
Those two things, I think, would be big help.
Yeah, and you can get them. They're on the files on Board Game Geek, and you can just print them off. But you shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
like the updated campaign round sequence, which it's like once you go through the tutorial, that all makes sense. But again, it is it's not a slog. I thought the tutorial thing was super fun. Like it even opened you up to. It wasn't just like, hey, let's do this just to have you learn the mechanics. Okay, now that you did that, wipe it all. It really was a prequel to the overall story.
Yeah.
To where you're like, okay, now I've done that, so I kind of have all the stuff I need as reference for my Titan for the Argo, and we just go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed kind of with how much that you can clearly see the bones of KDM, but they just did such a good job of being like, hey, thanks for that. It's like kind of like in The Boys, whenever it's like you're just a cheap knockoff. I'm the replacement, or I'm whatever it is with Homelander and the other guy. I'm the upgrade. It's kind of like KDM to this. Yeah, we can't really delve too much more into like the story, just because we haven't gotten that much. It was just the first episode we had was just so much of reading and being like, okay, boom, yeah, from the get-go, hey, you see an old lady or you see some kids, pick one. Mm. Okay, that comes up later.
Oh yeah, we got the old lady.
And it's already like, man, I wonder what would have happened if we got the kids. Like, or what would have happened...
We get arrested, Seth.
Well, there were two things that we would have already had different outcomes had we not had the guide with us. Mm-hmm. There was multiple instances where it said, hey, if you don't have the guide, read this. Mm-hmm. Could be major, could be minor. Who knows?
Yeah. But if anything, we probably could have saved more relation by not having her with us. Because we just would have taken one more -1, but now every time we piss her off, it's going to go down again.
Not every time. Just so far, that's been the case. Whenever it's like, she's like, this is wasting so much time, and we're like, anyway. Fine. Yeah, because right now we're at -1 for the Minoans and the Librithians. But we're at +2 on Hornsworn.
Hey,
we don't even know who they are.
They're our bros.
But
they are.
They've heard about us.
We are Hornsworn for life. We are all in on Hornsworn.
Yeah.
They're just going to be the fucking worst.
Yeah. I also just really love the fact that the Argo sheet is one based off the cycle. Mm-hmm. So this isn't like, oh, nope, this is your Aeon's Trespass game. It's like, nope, after you're done with cycle 1, this goes away, and you get a new Argo cycle sheet for 2 and 3. The other cool thing is if your Argonaut dies or leaves, you actually don't throw... It tells you not to throw away the sheet because it could be referenced later.
Oh, cool.
So...
I wonder what can kill our Argonauts.
It doesn't say.
Oh, depression. Wasn't that a thing?
That kills the Titan.
That kills the Titan?
Yeah. It goes on the Titan.
Despair?
Nothing... So far, we have seen nothing... No. So far, nothing has told us how the Argonauts die. Mm-hmm. It just said they explicitly will tell us if the Argonaut leaves the ship or dies. But there's like 6 different things that will kill your Titan. Because they're the expendable ones. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. For as big as this game is, and how much, rules and how much reading they are, it's not overbearing. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's because I read the rulebook 3 times. Yeah. So I'm kind of familiar with it. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all we can talk about so far. These are definitely a kind of a first impressions after about 6 hours of playing. Yeah. But that's usually how it goes with these campaign games. I'm very much excited to see more.
I mean, so far, yeah, definitely a good take. I would recommend at this time.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Aeon Trespass Odyssey?
Well, so far, I'm liking the choices. I'm liking the... Gear's pretty expensive. Gear's kind of hard to make.
But you also get it based off a multiplier of your... Because also, we fought a level 1. If we choose to fight this again, it goes...
Does it go to level 2?
No, I think it's a level 1 again, but then it goes to level 2.
Gotcha. So they naturally level up as you fight them?
They do,
That's
yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Man.
It's not like in KDM where you choose. Let's fight level 3.
I'm like, hey, I mean, if you like KDM structure, this is like not a bad game. I mean, granted, it doesn't have the lifestyle qualities, going from the crafting your own miniatures and whatnot. Mm-hmm. If you like the meticulousness of it, I mean, KDM's definitely, leans more to that for sure.
Yeah, which to
the higher grade materials and whatnot, but
yeah, which I would say that's.
But if you're looking for something like you want the gameplay style that is smoothed out, and you're not looking for more of the lifestyle thing, like this is a 10 for you, man. I mean, I'd give it a 10. Like
10?
It's good. This is a good game.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the systems. I'm loving the balancing act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think after explaining it to you and even getting,
I want to see more monsters again. Honeymoon phase. But right now, I'm like, this is good shit. this is good shit. I could do some more of this shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Put this shit in my holes.
No, I'm absolutely right there with you. I think this is also a 10 out of 10. Again, like KDM, at this point, I also gave a 10 out of 10. So we will see as this goes on to see how it goes. But I can't think of... And we've played a lot of campaign games now since our original KDM. I've even played KDM after my discussion where I gave it a 4. And so I can't imagine anything that this game would all of a sudden bring in that we haven't already seen that I'm just like, this fucking sucks. You know? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, you know, it's not trying to be anything more.
No, exactly,
you know,
yeah.
That's KDM's biggest problem, is right now they need to finish up the goddamn project.
That's also true.
And just, anyway.
Because they've released the 3 cycles, and then they've announced most likely by the end of 2023 is when cycles 4 and 5 come out, which they've warned everyone is bigger than this. And then, but they haven't said, oh, this is a lifestyle game. They put in so much effort and research into making this such a well thought out storytelling experience that it's its own isolated thing. Yeah, they've mentioned you're not going to see everything in your first playthroughs. Even the inward Odyssey stuff of knowledge, it's like, it doesn't say you can't, but it's like, you're not gonna, because there's 10 on each side, so it says there's 20 inward Odyssey knowledges per cycle. And they're like, only the most like devout or whatever word they said are gonna get them all. So you already have your replayability with builds you want to go through, with decisions you make. And for me, that's what I love about these games. That's what my favorite video games have always been, choice-based, because it's like, oh man, I want to come back, I want to play this way. You know, if we're going to go a certain way with these characters, that being kind of like, you know, good for the people, or we want to be like, let's save from the primordials, so we'll do what we can to help, then we'll play that way. You can come back again and be like, no, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's all survival. And then you just see what comes that way. And that's exactly what I want. If KDM had something like this, like a storytelling thing with choice-based in that world, oh god, it'd be so juicy.
I mean, if that, you know, that would be something good to add, you know,
is
that, and just take out, you know, modify the hunt phase in a way, in a manner, and make it more structured. Like, it has the bones to do that.
100%.
Like, honestly, that would actually be a very simple expansion they could do to probably improve the game a bit.
Or an RPG.
Yeah.
RPG would be fucking dope in that world. I mean, because you were talking about, I'd like to see more monsters. I definitely see where you're coming from.
I think this one, at least in their lore, it's hitting a good balance. It's like, it's telling us enough of what the hell's going on, but not enough to get the details. Like, okay, old gods are dead, world post-apocalyptic, essentially. Shit's fucking grisly. There's big monsters roaming around. Yep. Well, we got these cool titans. Yeah. But they're monsters? They've got helmets? What? We don't remember what happened.
Yeah, it says in the rule book that it's kind of like, if the primordials didn't exist, the titans would be humanity's biggest threat. So somehow we've been able to tame them. We're amnesiacs, so we have these Nemos cards that kind of give us our own personal breakthrough. And then there's our ship that we woke up on. That it's kind of like, well, what's going on with this ship? So they definitely have shrouded a lot of stuff in mystery. But yeah, hey, the Greek gods died. Some cataclysmic event where these primordials came in, wiped them off, and you're after that. Even though, to be fair, that'd be fucking dope to see. It's like, because the Olympic gods, like, it's like, man, how'd they died? I want to see them fight. But then that brings up other things. It's like, hey, you can do awakenings, where it's like, boom, this god now can awaken as...
I'm channeled as Zeus right now.
Exactly. So they've done a really cool job of doing like a sci-fi Greek mythology, where it's like, okay, it's clearly Greek with a sci-fi twist, with a lot of extra stuff, but it doesn't just hammer you over the head with lore. Hey, here's all our terms, and here's all our knowledge that you're like, this means nothing. A good example of that is the Grand Chronicle for BattleCon. I read the first 2 pages, I'm like, this is fucking nonsense.
Is it?
Yeah, it was. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. I'm like, this is just...
Did it come in?
Yeah, I got it.
Did I get one?
I don't think so.
I thought I got one. Anyway, we're off topic.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's what this game doesn't do. It doesn't just overload you with just jargon that you have no idea what's going on. So you're invested, you're curious, like a good TV show, and then you're like, okay, well, because they have clues and they have things. They have dreams, the dreams of I'd have to find it, but maybe I can find it in the index real quick. Dreams. These dreams were made for the dreams of Pharaohs, which are like weird things. You can find secret numbers that bring you into secret areas of the story. That's stuff that you have to go out and find. It's just all extremely inviting things that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer the question yet of if you have KDM, should you own this? If you love KDM, would you love this? I guess it depends on what you love about KDM. You know, it's like, do you love that rough survival, like, nose to the grindstone, getting your ass beat, but you overcome it anyway? Or would you rather have a fleshed out, big, massive storytelling campaign? This is definitely way more up my wheelhouse, and it does dive.
Yeah, more structured.
Yeah.
I mean, because KDM leaves a lot to the chance. The character creation,
in so many ways,
survive, and it's a dice checker, and that's fun. Like I still love that. Don't get me wrong, it's like, oh, you get that 10, and it's just like, hey, fucking great, because you always get great rewards with a 10, and then a 1's always going to be, oh, well, he's dead.
Gone. Yeah. But it's like, how many times have you had to, like, fudge rolls in KDM? Like, oh, Harvest Worm on a hunt phase that just killed 3 of our party before we even get to the boss?
Yeah. No.
Cool!
Very fair.
Yeah. And I think the crit system in this game is interesting as well. Where it's kind of like, you have 1 die that can crit versus you're not rolling 3 and it's like, oh, 2 criticals, as far as I can tell, there's no traps. And
that's nice. It definitely removes a lot of the more lows that KDM would
like
have.
the build restrictions and the or the meta. To be fair, we barely touched this game, and this game just came out, so people could be like, "Oh no, you get this weapon, get this armor, get this support, and you'll wipe the floor with every boss. You fight the boss primordial, and you're just like, okay." But so yeah, we just don't know. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this is a 10 out of 10. They are doing everything right of what I would expect from this. So, with that being said, stick around for the rest of the series. If we completely finish it through all, what we'll probably do, I think, is do a discussion after each cycle.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be so long anyway.
Oh yeah.
That it's like, it'd be 6 years from now before we did an overall. Hey, after every...
Well, you beat it!
God. Yay! Yeah, I think a discussion after each cycle will definitely shed a lot more light. We can come back and be like, that was amazing. Or be like, oh man, it got worse. Which I'm hoping it doesn't, but I can't see it. It'd be just so weird with everything that they've added.
Sort of getting dry, I guess.
True.
So,
yeah.
We'll see.
All right, everyone. Well, that's our thoughts on Aeon's Trespass Odyssey. Kind of an initial thoughts, but definitely stick around for the rest of the series because we'll most likely be talking about shit and our opinions as we're playing. So, yeah. Let us know what you think of this game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.